of unsolved cases. Join me as we search for missing persons, uncover the clues in unsolved murders, follow along with jury trials, and we'll be a voice for the voiceless. I'll share with you the facts, the theories, the clues, the evidence, and the controversies that surround these cases. This is Beyond the Evidence. Hello, hello. Couldn't find my screen. What the heck? All right, let's bring Andrea on.
I'm dying over here.
I'm like, why can't I find the right screen?
I'm like, okay, where did she go?
I know.
Too funny.
It's been one of those days. Hey, Misty, how's it going? Tuesday. It was the first day today that Mark did not have to do, my Mark did not have to do anything. Didn't have to work, didn't have band, didn't have soccer, didn't have to do anything. So we got to spend the day together. It was very nice.
And kick the bestie to the side.
Yep, I ignored all messages, texts, all that good stuff, and spend some time with my kid. Took him to his favorite place, the Humane Society. And of course, he wanted to come home with a cat. Dad said no. Dad says you are one cat and one dog. That's all you need. If it was up to my son and my daughter, we'd have like 50 cats. So, not doing that.
No way.
But all right.
How many people are in?
10. It seems like people come in within like 5-10 minutes, within 5-10 minutes of starting.
Well, you know what I noticed is when, okay, so on the laptop, on the computers,
yeah,
your intro starts about 30 seconds before it does on the app.
Yes. There's a delay on StreamYard in case I need to mute something or something like that. So.
Because your intro was almost over before it started on the phone.
Yeah.
I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, there's always a delay like that in case I have to mute and do all that good stuff. So, all right. Tonight, we are reading the deposition of Heather Tharp. And Heather used to date Andrew Bush.
Yep.
God, I need a flow chart to keep all this stuff straight in my head. And she dated him when he was in Tipton.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correctamundo.
That's what I'm going to have to work on, is a flow chart for all this stuff.
Oh, girl, you'd have to have walls.
A
lot of walls.
I know. But, all right. Let's get started. You're going to be J.
Rich.
Bob Alden. I'm going to be Heather.
Yep.
As usual. You get to be the attorneys. I get to be the person that's getting deposed.
Okay. Taped statement of Heather Tharp. J. Rich. Heather, would you raise your hand, please? Your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Bob Alden. Heather, like you were informed by Mr. Rich, this is no reason for you to be intimidated. We're just here to ask you a few questions. This is like a conversation in your living room, okay? So we just want you to tell us what you know, okay?
Okay.
Now, Heather, first of all, give me your actual address and phone number.
453 Mill.
Mill,
Yeah.
okay.
Tipton. And my phone number is 765.
And how old are you?
18.
Are you in school now?
No, I graduated.
Graduated last year?
Yes, sir.
In May?
Yeah.
Okay, are you working?
Yeah.
Do you have children?
No.
And do you live with your parents at this address?
Yes.
Okay, where are you working?
Burger King.
Now, Heather, did you ever date Drew Bush?
Yes.
And when was that?
About 6 months ago.
6 months ago? Had you known him for a long time?
I knew him for about a year, since last summer.
Where was he living when you started dating?
At the trailer court.
Okay, in Country Living Trailer Court?
Yeah.
He was living with his dad?
Yeah.
And 6 months ago would have been about February, probably.
Last time I talked to him was the middle of October.
So, see, 2 more months, it's going to be October 2003. So it's been almost a year.
Yeah.
And the last time you talked to him was the middle of October?
Yeah.
And you say you were dating him up until that time for a year, did you say?
No.
So late summer of 2002 until the middle of October?
Yeah.
Okay.
Off and on.
Of 2002?
Yeah.
All right. And who are your friends that you hang out with?
Lindsay, Jerry Owens.
Did they all go to Tipton High School?
Yeah.
Did they all graduate?
Inaudible.
And you met Drew when? In the summertime, hanging around, or what?
Yeah, just uptown and through one of my friends.
Okay, which friend?
Shayna?
Shayna?
Shayna.
And how did you know Shayna? Or how did Shayna know him?
They were friends from a friend of hers used to date him.
So when you say you dated Drew Bush, would you go out with each other like 2 or 3 nights a week or something?
Yeah.
Was he working?
Yeah, construction or something like that.
So he worked construction and he come by and pick you up at night?
Well, I would go over to his house. He didn't want to do anything.
So you drove over to his house.
Yeah.
And who was he hanging out with at that time?
Chris, I can't think of his last name.
What was Chris like?
What was he like?
Yes.
He was a jerk, but they were best friends at the time.
Why is it that you didn't care for him?
Because he was talking to one of my friends and he yelled at her a lot and treated her badly.
Did he date anybody?
Not that I know of around here.
Was Drew into drugs at all?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
He used a lot of pot.
Mostly?
Yeah.
And was that all the way from the summer to the middle of October?
Yeah.
But not often?
No.
Well, you would see him 4 days a week, you said. Is that accurate, or is that more than?
Every couple weeks.
So you didn't see him on a regular basis?
Oh no, I thought you mean about the drugs.
I am talking about how often you would see him. Did you see him 4 days a week?
Yeah.
Okay, you were with him in the evening. What was your work shift?
It was in the evening. I would usually see him after work.
And how long would you be with him?
Couple of hours.
From what time to what time?
I would say from 8 or 9 to like 11.
Talk up just a little bit, okay? So soft-spoken. Okay, from 8 or 9 to around 11 o'clock?
Yeah, it was depended if I was in school or not. Like during the summer, I would stay out later. But if it was during school, I would be home at a certain hour.
What time do you have to be home?
Between 10 and 11. And then there was a time when
We just have all kinds of problems with these tapes. We are back on the record again with Heather Tharp. There was a time when
the end of September, I think, where I had to go to rehab. And then there was that time for a couple of days.
Okay, you have to talk up just a little bit.
I didn't see him hardly at all.
You had to go into rehab?
Yeah.
What's rehab?
Just for like a week at St. Vinny's Stress Center.
Inpatient?
Yeah.
Who told you that you had to go there?
Well, it was my parents.
Your parents said to go to inpatient rehab.
Yes.
What month was that?
September, end of September, I'm pretty sure.
Were you into drugs pretty heavy before you met him, or were you into drugs heavy after you met him?
After I met him.
All right. And what were the two of you doing? What kind of drugs?
Just mostly pot and pills sometimes.
What kind of pills?
Hydros or
What is a hydrocodone?
hydrocodone, stuff like that.
How many pills were you doing at a time?
2 a day. It just depended on, it wasn't like a regular thing. It just depended where we were going to go.
Well, the worst that you ever had, what is the most that you did?
I don't know, like 5 or 6 or something. The worst I ever did was just going all day on something.
What effect did it have on you?
Well, at the time, I thought it would just make me feel good, and we just sit there. This is when he was living he lived in Windfall for a while.
Who did he live with?
He lived with Chris and Brian Bowen.
And who else did he live with out there? Anybody? Just the two of them stay there together?
Yeah.
What other guys were living out in Windfall in trailers? Do you know?
Like around him? Mike Brown, Jake something. I don't know. That is all I can think of. I mean, there was always a lot of guys around there.
Yates? Do you know John Yates?
I know who he is.
He didn't live out there.
No, not that I know of.
Did Adam Johnson live out there?
I don't know who that is.
All right. So how long did they live out at Windfall?
I'm not sure. Maybe a month or two.
Okay. Well, anyway, how did the most you ever had, what did it make you feel like?
Relaxed.
Did you just feel like you were completely out of it?
Yeah, pretty much summed up. Yeah.
So did you feel like, were you energetic at all?
It depends, but not usually.
I mean, hydrocodone is not an upper, is it?
Inaudible.
Xanax is not, is it?
I don't think so.
So just, don't you feel kind of mellow?
Yeah, relaxed.
Relaxed. So you feel like getting up and running a couple miles?
No.
Okay, so it has the opposite effect of that.
Huh?
Would it have the opposite effect of that?
Yeah.
You have to answer for the record.
Yeah.
Were you doing alcohol along with that?
Yeah, sometimes.
Do you know how much he was doing?
He probably drank a couple times a week.
No, I mean in one day, in one sitting.
No, he was never really drunk or anything, so he probably...
Was he doing the same amount of drugs as you were? I mean, you take one, he would take one, you would take one, he would take one?
Yeah.
Or was he doing more than you? Or was he doing the same?
We did the same when I was around, but other than that, he was probably doing other stuff. Mostly pot.
I am talking about for him to get high, okay? Was he taking the same amount that you were taking?
No.
Does it have the same effect on him as it was on you?
Well, he took more for him.
How much more? Do you know?
I don't know.
You weren't watching what he was doing?
Not really. I mean, if it was like pills, he would take 2 more than me or something.
How many milligrams was this? Do you know?
Inaudible.
So he was just basically feeding you these pills and you were just taking them. You don't know how much or how many milligrams it was. He would just say, here, take another one or whatever.
Yeah, basically.
Now let's be more specific towards October. Do you know Tabitha Raines?
Yeah,
Do you know her well?
not well. We were okay.
And do you know Michael Raines?
Yeah,
Do you know him well?
pretty well.
Do you know Kyle Neff?
I know who he is.
Do you know Elizabeth Balser?
Yeah.
Did you know her well?
No, we went to school together.
And do you know if at any time Drew was hanging out with any of these people
There was a time when Liz would come around a lot.
while you were dating?
Yeah.
During what period of time was that?
I don't know. It could have been, I don't remember whether it was after or before, but there was a time when she would come around a lot.
Come around, what does that mean?
Like she would call a lot and Drew's dad would get mad because she would show up drunk or something. And she was just calling a lot because he was always saying that he was trying to get away from her.
What would she call him about?
I don't know.
Did she ever come over?
Yeah, I saw her there once.
One time? Okay. So when you said she would come around a lot, she came once?
One time when I was there.
And were you present when she was calling the trailer?
No, I was probably there a couple times when she called.
Well, were you there or were you not? I mean, here is what we are here for today. This is a deposition where you swear that you are saying what you are saying is true, okay? So what we need and what we are here for today are firm, definite, no question about it details. If you know for sure, then you say for sure, this is what I know. If you don't know for sure, then you say I don't know. If you think something is sure, then you say I am not sure, but I think so, or whatever. It was to be qualified, so we know that the information you are giving us is accurate.
Okay.
Lord.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I am asking you, do you know for a fact that Elizabeth Balser was calling or came over to Drew Bush's house?
No, I don't know for a fact. I mean, this is what I heard.
This is what you heard from who?
From Drew.
Did you ever, where you know for a fact, see Elizabeth at Drew Bush's house?
Yes.
And how many times?
Just one time that I remember.
And when was it?
I don't remember.
What time was it?
It was during the day.
Why was she there?
I don't know.
Were you there?
Yes, but I wasn't in the room.
How long did she stay?
About 5 minutes. They went outside and talked, and then he came back in and she left.
Do you know if Drew was providing her with any drugs?
I am sure that is what it was probably about.
Okay. Did Drew ever say anything to you whether or not he was selling drugs to her or she was selling drugs to him?
No.
Do you know if he sold drugs to anybody?
Not that I know of. He bought them. I don't know if he sold them.
All right. What when you were seeing him up until the middle of October, and are you positive that it was in the middle of October when you dated him?
No.
Do you know if it was after Tabitha's death?
Yeah. I think it was a few weeks after that.
So you dated him until he left town.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
And while Tabitha was missing, were you seeing him?
Yeah.
Did he ever act any different to you during that period of time?
I don't think so.
Okay. Did he ever act any different before that time, just immediately before that time?
I don't know.
So there is nothing, you were seeing him, you were talking to him, and when you were together, I am sure you were having conversations, right?
Yeah.
and you were relating to each other through communication.
Yeah.
And there was nothing. No way he acted any different from when you met him in the summertime. Is that what you are saying?
No, there was a period of time when he was real upset all the time, but I can't tell you whether that was before or after. I just remember a couple times he would call me crying, and I just thought he was really messed up on something.
What did he say? I mean, surely he would say what was wrong.
He didn't really. I mean, I usually got mad at him, and that was that.
So he called crying, and you would get mad at him because he was crying?
Because mostly I just thought that he was on something. And
did you ever ask him?
Yeah.
What did he say?
I don't know. Just nothing.
So you thought that he was probably on something and was just emotional?
Yeah. When I got back from rehab, I told him I didn't want to do anything.
Didn't want to do anything?
Any drugs or anything.
And you got out of rehab when?
The end of September.
The end of September?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then sometimes he would call and tell me that he messed up, and that is what a lot of it was about. So, I mean, after that, I just kind of shut him out.
Did you ever hear from him after he moved?
No.
Did he ever say why he was going to move?
He just said he wanted to get out of here and that Chris wanted to inaudible.
Did he ever say to you that he had been threatened in any way?
No, he did say something about how he was tired of everything that was coming down on him because of the flyers in the trailer court that were left.
What flyers?
Saying that Chris and Drew killed Tabi.
Was there more than one?
I never saw them. They just told me about it, but I am pretty sure.
Who is they?
Chris and Jamie.
Okay, they told you that there was something in the trailer court?
Yeah, flyers.
That said Chris and Drew killed Tabi?
Yeah.
And what did he say about that?
Just that it made him mad, and he was real upset about it. I just didn't think much about it.
He was mad about it one day, and the next day he was okay?
Well, there was just, I mean, he didn't like dwell, or talk about it a lot.
Did you? And who was the girl that Chris dated that he was a jerk to?
They didn't really date, but it was Lori Owen.
She is a good friend of yours?
Yeah.
Did you ever talk to her about the fact that Chris may or may not have had a gun? Tell me about that conversation.
Well, it was after he talked to Gary Stout. The only time I had heard something about it was after we got pulled over. And then she told me about when they were out at the park or something with some friends, and she started flipping out about it. And he told her he had a water gun or toy gun or something like that. That is all she really said about it.
She said they got stopped and then he pulled out a toy gun?
No. They got stopped. This is what I heard about it. They got stopped, and then they told me about it. And so they were glad that the cops didn't find the gun. And then Billy told us about another time when they were...
So he did have a gun?
That's what they said. I never saw it.
Who's they?
Chris and Drew.
So Chris and Drew were talking about he got stopped, and Chris said he was glad that the cops didn't check where?
Under the seat.
And because of what?
Because of the gun.
And so Chris told you that he had a gun?
Yes.
Under his seat?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if it was a water gun, he wouldn't have cared whether the cops saw it or not, right?
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
So you believe that he had a real gun under his seat. Is that right or not right?
Yeah.
Now, are you talking about now? Wait a minute. All right. Now, are you talking now about another time when you talked to somebody else and it was this water gun? That was messed up.
Yes, this is what Billy and I talked about. I wasn't there. This is what she told me.
So one conversation you have with Chris and Drew, and they told you about this getting stopped thing.
All right.
And the other conversation you had with Billy.
Yes.
And that was how much after you heard this thing between Chris and Drew?
What?
This is how long after that you heard this conversation between Chris and Drew about the real gun?
Well, let's see. We just talked. Billy and I talked a few months ago.
So just a few months ago, you and Billy had a conversation.
Yeah, because we never.
What was the conversation about that even brought this subject matter up?
It was, like I said, when I went in and talked to Gary Stout, he asked about Chris, and Chris lived with Billy. And then she said,
Oh, you and Billy were in the same room with him, with Stout?
yeah.
Okay, and then he looked at Billy, and Billy said what?
She said that there was a time when they were in the park with some friends, and he said something about a gun, and she freaked out, and he said, don't worry, it's just a toy gun.
Okay, now did Chris ever tell Billy, to your knowledge, that he had carried a real gun before that?
Not that I know of.
Was Chris laughing about the fact that the police didn't look under the seat and find his real gun?
Yeah, he wasn't laughing, but he was taking it inaudible.
Like he had pulled something over on the police?
Yeah, kind of.
Did Drew carry a gun?
Not that I know of. I mean, the one that was in the truck was Chris's truck, and Drew's truck, I don't. Whether he said Chris is with what?
I know.
Not that I know of. I mean, the one that was in the truck was Chris's truck and Drew's truck. And I don't whether he said Chris is with Drew.
Okay, did you ever see it?
No.
Let's go off the record. Of course. Have you ever heard from anybody that Drew allegedly saw Tabitha get shot?
No, just in the paper.
Is that the first time you ever heard about it?
Yeah.
Is Drew the kind of person that shared his feelings with you?
Yeah.
And when you guys were taking these drugs, you would just sit around and talk. Were you just talking about each other's lives? Tell you the way he felt about things?
Yeah, we were usually with friends or watching a movie or something like that.
Okay. Did you and Drew have sexual contact?
Yes.
Did Drew ever talk to you about having any sexual contact or desires about any other girls?
No.
Did he ever mention Tabitha?
No.
Did he ever talk to you about other girls he did drugs with?
I don't think so.
Did he ever act like he was afraid of Elizabeth Balser?
Yes. There was a time when he said she had been calling. It wasn't an afraid maybe, but that he was trying to stay away from her. He would tell his dad to tell her that he was somewhere else.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't have been that hard for her to just go see him. All she had to do was walk down 7 trailers and knock on the door, right?
Yeah.
So he was avoiding her basically for one reason or another. Is that right?
Yeah. That's something inaudible.
What did Drew and you ever go out in public together?
Yeah.
Where would you go?
We would go to Kokomo. We would go uptown.
Did you hang out uptown?
Sometimes, not very often.
Well, did you ever hang out uptown after Tabitha was found?
No.
Why not?
Nobody was because, I don't know, we just never did.
Nobody would? Everybody just stayed at home after Tabitha was found?
From what I remember, yeah.
I am not sure if I asked you this. Did Drew ever talk about Kyle Neff?
No.
Did he ever talk about being with John Yates?
No.
Did either one of them ever call over to Drew's house?
Not that I know of.
All right. What is your whole take on the situation? I mean that how, okay, here we go. I mean that how you have been brought in and the police have asked you questions. Everybody is trying to figure out what you know or talk to other friends like Billy and what you have found out about all of these business. Read about it in the paper. Do you have any thoughts about it, or just one of those things that doesn't make any sense?
Well, bits and pieces of it don't make sense. And I don't know, like I said, the only time we talked about a gun, which we don't know if that had anything to do with it, I believe what Drew was saying, and I just don't know.
Was Drew a violent person?
No,
So he never threatened anybody.
no.
Was Chris a violent person?
I never seen him do anything, but I could see him doing it. I never seen him do anything, but I could see him doing it because he would yell and scream over the phone, but I never seen him do anything violent.
Okay. Was onto drugs as bad as Drew was?
Yeah,
I think that's supposed to say was Chris on drugs.
yeah.
Did either one of them ever talk about Tabitha's death in conversations after it happened?
No,
So the subject matter was never even discussed.
no, it was kind of avoided.
Why would it be avoided? I mean, if it was the topic of conversation.
Yeah, but it was. I just remember asking him if he would go to the funeral with me, and he wouldn't, and we just didn't talk about it.
He wouldn't. Why didn't you say, why don't you want to go?
He said he had to work.
Okay, he just played it off like it wasn't a big deal. I mean, he showed no emotion.
He really didn't.
He really didn't. Is that your answer?
Yeah,
Now you were saying that he was not on drugs all the time. You got off your rehab in September. Is that right?
yeah, around there.
And you would see him after that date. Is that correct?
A couple weeks after, or a week after.
You see him 3 or 4 times a week after that. Is that right?
Yeah,
Well, tell me.
yeah, I would say so.
And the 3 or 4 times a week you would see him after you finished with your rehab, you had made an issue that you didn't want him doing drugs while he was with you. Is that correct?
Yes, right.
And was he good, and did he stay off drugs while he was with you during that time?
Yeah, for a while he did. He only screwed up a few times. He wasn't around that long either because he ended up moving.
Well, I understand that. So it just so happens that you are telling him that you got out of rehab September the 30th.
Yeah,
And you were telling me that he was around town for a little while after that.
yeah,
And so the period of time that he would have been off drugs or told you that he was off drugs would have been during the early part of October or middle part of October. Is that correct?
yes,
Okay, I have no further questions. Jay Rich. Heather, were you with Drew Bush every day from September the 30th until the middle of October?
no,
Okay, so you have no idea what he did in regard to ingesting drugs when you weren't with him. Is that correct?
yes,
You talked about a gun in Chris Baker or Drew Bush's truck, correct?
yes,
Did you ever see the gun?
no.
Tell me again why you believe there was a gun.
Because after they got pulled over, and Chris said that he was glad that the cop didn't look under the seat because of the gun.
Chris told you that.
Yes,
Who else was there when he said that?
Drew.
Just Drew?
Yes,
What about Billy?
she might have been. I don't remember.
Did he make this statement the day after the policeman stopped him? 2 days after? A week after?
I'm pretty sure it was that day.
You believe he made the statement about the gun the very same day that he was pulled over?
Yes.
Were you in the same truck?
Um,
When you made this statement, you weren't in the truck he got stopped in?
no.
You were in a different vehicle.
No, we were at Drew's house when he told me about it.
Okay, then, okay, they didn't show you a gun?
No,
Did Drew ever show you a gun?
no,
Do you know Brian Bowen?
yes,
Do you know him now? Do you see him?
yes.
Where do you see him?
He comes over to my friend's house every once in a while.
Who is your friend?
Shayna Cass. He brings his baby over.
Who is his girlfriend?
Amanda.
Where does Brian live?
They live in Greentown. They just moved recently.
Do you know his address?
No,
Do you know his phone number?
no.
Is Amanda Callan a friend of yours?
More of just an acquaintance.
Who would know Brian and Amanda live together, right?
Yeah,
Who would know their phone number, address? Would Shayna know it?
yeah, Shayna would know it.
Shayna, is that how you are saying it?
Yes.
Okay, and what is this Brian Bowen fella like?
He used to be like Drew, but since he has Inaudible, he's been a real good guy.
When you say used to be like Drew, do you mean he used to be heavy into drugs?
Yeah,
You said that Billy and Chris didn't date.
not really.
What did they do?
They would just hang out and talk. They would go out with me and Drew.
Do you know if they were involved sexually?
No,
You don't think they were?
no,
Why not?
because Billy is Inaudible. She was a virgin. That is one of the reasons they never got together.
How was he a jerk to her?
He'd just be controlling of her when they weren't even together.
Call her, check on her?
Yeah, and even get mad when she wasn't there.
So he didn't want her doing anything without him. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Did you ever leave the state of Indiana with Drew?
no,
Chris Baker and Drew were very, very close.
yes,
Mr. Alden asked you if Drew Bush ever threatened anyone,
right?
and you said no,
Not that I know of,
but not when you were around him.
right?
Is that what you're saying?
Right.
You realize that when you say that, in other words, if you are saying that he never threatened anybody, you wouldn't know that.
Well, yeah,
Just when you were with him, correct?
yeah,
You talked about a water gun.
yeah. That is what Billy told me about.
Did Billy say, end of tape, J. Rich again, we were talking about a water gun before Mr. Alden's tape ran out. This water gun was one that Chris supposedly shown Billy. Is that correct?
Yeah,
And Billy told you
yeah,
that Chris showed her the water gun.
right.
Okay, you never saw it?
No.
Did Billy describe it?
Yeah, she described it. It was like a little black toy gun.
Okay, now after you came back from rehab September the 30th, you were out of the drug scene and going down a different path. When you and Drew were together, was he still doing drugs around you?
No, not afterward.
Okay, that's all. Bob Alden. When they were talking about how they had been stopped by the police, was this like a traffic stop for speeding or something?
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Did they act like they got a ticket?
Inaudible.
Was it a Tipton police officer that stopped him?
Yeah, it was just like for speeding or something.
Do you know if they know the name of that officer?
They didn't tell who it was.
Are you familiar with the Tipton police officers?
Not really.
Okay, that's one more thing. Are you sure September the 30th you got out of rehab?
I'm not positive. It was around that time.
Did you have to miss school to go into rehab?
Yes.
So you know that it was during the school year.
Yes. Well, I remember like a week after Pork Fest that I had gotten in trouble. So that is why I was going there.
Okay, thank you.
All right. When is Pork Fest?
It's the weekend after Labor Day.
Okay.
So it's usually like the 5th, 6th, or 7th, the 6th, 7th, and 8th. 7th, 8th, or 9th. It's been as late as the 10th, 11th, and 12th.
So she's saying that she got out of rehab on the 30th.
That's more than a week after Pork Festival.
Right. But what she's stating is that Drew wasn't doing drugs around her during that time.
Right.
Which would have been.
Right.
And this all happened at the park.
Right. But he wasn't doing it around her, but she said she didn't know if he was doing it not around her.
Right. And then, so Misty, yes, there was an actual piece. All right, so in the trailer park, you had a central area where you would have the mailboxes, and you could post up bulletin, kind of like on a bulletin board. There was a piece of paper on there that said that Drew and Chris killed Tabi. So when you say flyer, oh my God, that's kind of what it looked like, was a flyer that was posted up stating that Drew and Chris killed Tabi.
Yeah, we have a picture of it, I think.
Yeah, he sounds cold. Yeah, in a way. He does sound cold. And then so according to her, they pretty much avoided discussing Tabi.
That's what it sounds like.
Well, if you had a friend that went missing, why would you avoid discussing it?
Good question.
And when exactly was, I wish he would have gone into more, when was this time period that Andrew Bush didn't want anything to do with Elizabeth?
Yeah.
You know, he kind of let that fly by and not.
Right. He just said that. Yeah, he just said
a whole lot.
That she would call and call and call, and he would tell his dad to tell him that he wasn't home.
Right, and that he was trying to avoid her.
That messenger that keeps going off is mine, by the way.
I can't hear it.
Okay, good.
And this whole thing about this gun. I mean, I know why they were grilling everybody, because they needed to know, because they were told that Chris and Drew did it. They had to find out if they had the means to actually do it. And he let this go too. There was a period of time when he was real upset all the time, but I can't tell you whether that was before or after. I just remember a couple times he would call me crying, and I just thought he was really messed up on something. He went into what he said, but he didn't really go into when that happened. That's very sad, the fact they posted flyers about it saying who the accuser was. Yeah. It was not pretty. That's for sure.
No. But here's the thing. When we read Jamie's deposition, she never said anything. It wasn't in her deposition about them her and Chris putting flyers up.
What do you mean? Huh?
In the deposition we just read, it said that Chris and Jamie were the ones that went around and put the flyers up.
Oh.
Am I wrong?
All right. We got to find that part again.
I'm looking.
And the whole thing about the drugs and the difference where she was relaxed. And she couldn't answer the question, does it have the same effect on him as it was on you?
Right.
She's like, I don't know.
Oh, right.
And then they went into the amounts again, and he didn't go back to how did this affect him. And I wish he would have, because that's important. Okay.
Okay, right here.
What page?
Page 15. He says, what flyers? She said, saying that Chris and Drew killed Tabi. Was there more than one? I never saw them. Who is they? Chris and Jamie. Oh, okay. I never saw them. They just told me about it, but I'm pretty sure. Who is they? Chris and Jamie. Okay, they told you that there was something in the trailer court. Yeah, flyers. So Chris and Jamie were the ones that said they saw the flyers.
Right. But Jamie was never asked that. We'll have to go back and look at hers.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really surprised that they didn't grill these kids more. They let them off on so much crap with I don't know, I don't remember.
Yeah, they didn't. And they're adults. That's not like they're kids.
Right. You know, reading all of these depositions, they got away with so much and not having to answer anything.
Right.
And it's just unbelievable.
Hang on, I have to go pee.
Okay. You know, and that's part of the reason why I wish we could get the transcripts from the trial, is to see how these individuals actually testified during Elizabeth Balser's case versus what their depositions say. But I don't have $12,000 to spend on transcripts. So, Missy, yeah, you're picking up on a lot of things that we're seeing too. Right now, you're the only one commenting, but the whole flyer, oh my goodness, yeah, not a good thing. She did make him sound very cold as a person.
I'm back.
That was quick. I said this Heather did make Andrew sound very cold as a person,
Yeah.
Unless he was really high and messed up. Then he
I was
got
going to say, unless he called her crying.
right. And I still cannot see them not talking about Tabi going missing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no kidding. Especially since it was a big topic of conversation in Tipton.
And it was so bad. It was bad enough that, according to her, people didn't go out around town after that for a while. So, all right. Hey, Mark. Yeah, small town justice at its finest. So that was quite interesting. I just wish that the attorney and even Jay Rich had gone into greater detail and really tried to nail them down on their timelines.
He didn't do a lot of things.
Oh, I know that.
I mean, when we've read these depositions, he leaves a lot of things open-ended.
Yep. Lots of open-ended. But like I said, too, that's where the transcripts from the trial would come in handy to see what they said on the stand.
Yep.
But we'll never get a hold of those. Makes
her think she's hiding something.
She's hiding something, yeah. Well, she's trying to protect him. So they're all trying to protect each other in a way. And this whole I don't remember crap is for the birds. I don't know. I don't remember.
It's easy to get out of questioning that way.
Right. And it was too easy to let something go and get off on another tangent and not come back to it.
Right.
So, all right. How many more we got?
3.
Okay.
And 2 of them we could probably do together.
I was going to say, we'll probably do the 2 shorter ones Monday night.
Okay.
And then the longer one will just stay Tuesday, if that's all right with you, if you don't have anything going on. And
I
just
don't think I do.
Huh?
I don't think I have anything going on. Let me check. No, I don't. We're good.
Okay. So it shouldn't take too much longer than an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Especially if we get through it like we did the other one.
Well, here's the thing. The 2 that we could do together, they total 47 pages.
Okay.
And the other last one is 47 pages.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. All right. We'll plan on Monday night doing 2 of them, and then Tuesday night doing 1, finishing up the last one.
Okay, well, I got to exit off here because I got to go call my son.
All right. Thank you for joining me tonight.
I will call you later.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. So that ends this deposition. Like I said, Monday night, we're going to read 2 of the shorter ones together. Tuesday night, we're going to do the longer one together. And then Andrea and I will get together and figure out where we are going to go from here. But as of next Tuesday night, you will have heard all the depositions and documents that we had received on Tabi's case. Remember, I'd love to talk to anybody who was involved. You know, you can email me, you can message me on Facebook, and get a hold of me any way you can. What in the world? Email is beyondtheevidence1@gmail.com. Somebody's got to start opening up and talking about this. It's the only way we're going to get this solved. You're welcome, Mark. And don't forget, I do have the angel pin. So if you would like to order one, get a hold of me. You can ask about them on either Beyond the Evidence Facebook group or Justice for Tabitha Shuck Raines, Justice for Tabitha Shuck Raines Facebook account, or instant message me or email me. Maybe I missed it. Did she say who her friend was that was talking to Chris? Could her name be Jamie? The only thing that was mentioned about a Jamie was Chris and Jamie had seen the flyers in the trailer court stating that Drew and Chris had murdered Tabi. Yes, the pins are very, very, very nice. Buffy was able to get these, and we're selling them. So if anybody would like a pin, let me know. They're purple and white. Tabi's favorite color is purple. And it goes with several other cases, the color of the other cases that we're doing too. So they're really nice to have, especially for the memorial walks and things like that. And did she say who her friend's name was that was talking to Chris? Her friend's name was, I believe it was Shayna. But let me just double check because she did mention a couple of different names. So, let's see here. Just give me a minute to look here. So when they talk about the flyers saying that Chris and Drew killed Tabi, Was there more than one? I never saw them. They just told me about it, but I am pretty sure. Who is they? Chris and Jamie. But when they're talking about Chris, she is talking about Ashana. And I believe they give the last name. I just need to find it again. Shauna Cohen. That's it. So I hope that answered your question. Hello. The pins are $13 a piece or 2 for $21, and that includes shipping. So let me know if you want one. All right, everybody. That is all for this week's episodes of Tabitha and what happened to Tabitha Shuck Raines. We will be back next week to wrap up. Yeah, Jamie Hamilton was the one talking with Chris about the flyers. Right. We will be back next week, Monday and Tuesday, to wrap up all the depositions and statements. So I will see you then. Have a good night.